I just called to paint with us and chat with Julia.
Yay, sounds good to me.
And we are in the process of going live. It will tell me when we are live. Okay, we are apparently quite live. But I haven't gone yet back to my station, so I'll let you know when I'm there.
Okay.
So hello, everybody. And the meeting is being broadcast. We are live, and Julia is here too, and we're going to be doing some painting and some chatting about whatever it is we want to talk about. It's just going to be fun. So please join us, and I hope that we can have a good time together.
I think so.
Okay, Julia, do you want to look at the camera and at the same time consider maybe sharing it? So whatever, because I think when we share it on Facebook, it takes a snapshot. So we want to look good.
Okay, we do. So I kind of like the position you're in right now. So let me go to YouTube and look for it, okay?
Okay, thank you so much for doing that. I do appreciate it.
Because I want to make sure.
I'm not always able to do all these things.
No, because sometimes I have to go back and change my own thumbnails because sometimes YouTube picks a really good one, but other times I'm like, what was that? Like, why did it pick that? Like, usually it's pretty intuitive, but sometimes it picks something really funny that I would not.
Yes.
So
let me see if I can see this on this other phone. This is, I accidentally tried, it seemed like I was phoning you. I didn't mean to. And that was because I have this other phone. And I'm going to try to share on my YouTube channel, my other one, if I can see this.
sounds good. I really like this painting. So are you adding to it, Aya?
No, this is a sketchbook. So I wanted to show you my last painting, talk about it a little bit, and then I'll start painting. I'll just open a new leaf. And so it's much easier than having to go out and buy a new canvas every single time.
And that's expensive too, I feel like, over time, and it takes up space.
Oh, you know what? It's not giving me when I'm going to share this, it is not giving me any kind of snapshot at all.
I'm looking to see. Okay, so what I'm getting, actually, because I'm there too, is just a picture of your books, but I think we can change it later if it doesn't work, unless
we can. It's just annoying.
Or I could do this. Let me see. What I could do is if you look at the camera and you're smiling, I could do a screenshot, smile.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go copy and paste it in.
Thank you so much, Julia.
I'm gonna do that. I mean, that's kind of, but I think it works until we can go back later, and that way at least people on our Facebook page.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Wait, did it do it? Hold on. I thought it did it. We might have to do that again, Aya. So
okay.
I don't think it was happy with me. I thought I did control print. Let me.
Okay, I'm smiling. I've got a brush in my hand.
Okay, let me get it nice and big again. Hold on. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, print screen. Okay, good. Okay, let me test it again. Okay. I'm going to make sure it works this time. Okay, that's good. I like it. Okay, so I'm gonna crop it, and then I'm gonna make that the picture that goes with the video I'm sharing. Okay.
Okay, and I've decided not to share it on my other channel. Those people on the other channel, they're not very nice sometimes, and so I'm just not going to share it.
I totally understand. I mean, I have this one guy, but okay. I, it's interesting because I did a video talking about like, narcissists, because I think you were totally right. I don't think I've ever had an experience exactly with unrequited love. Like when you said in that stream, I think like you said, that's a narcissist. And I think I've known that all along. But I was just I just briefly mentioned like narcissists. Like I don't think this is anybody I know from anywhere, but I started getting some like trolly comments last night. It was kind of weird. So I mean, I guess I could not engage with that person, but I just told them, why don't you just go away? Because I'm just like, I don't even see the point. Like, what point are you making?
Well, I'll tell you what, a comment that I had from somebody who was actually trying to be helpful. And I try not to be snide with people who are trying to be helpful, but
Yeah.
they assume they know something and I don't know anything,
Yes.
So this person, and this is on a bow grooming video, said, I think you might find it much easier if you got yourself a stand to put the camera on. That way you don't have to hold it. Okay.
Well, that's not too bad. That's just somebody trying to be helpful, although it's mildly annoying.
But do you see how many stands I have for my camera?
You have many stands, but they don't know that, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, so let me explain, because maybe you don't know why that's not a good idea with Bo.
I know why it's not, because you can't have a stand in there with Bo, right? I mean,
well, I mean, even if I did, look, Bo is not an actor. I'm not an actress. We do not hit a mark. You cannot preset where this is going to happen. When it happens, it's very spontaneous, and sometimes he's facing one way or another way, or we're in a different place. You can't set up a stand and capture it. It's kind of like, even on Squid Game. So I watch Squid Game, and they have these cameras, and people are killing each other and themselves, and there's an audience of VIPs who are watching and enjoying the show. And I'm thinking, hey, they're so far away. Yes, I know there are cameras, but those cameras can't possibly be capturing everything that we see in a close-up and everything that we are able to see and hear, because this is a television show, and we, have many different camera angles, and we have actual cameramen who are coming in and they know what they're doing. So it's not realistic. No matter how much technology you have, it is. And by the way, one of my chickens just announced that she laid an egg. I don't know if you heard that, but I'm not. I'm gonna leave that alone for now. Yeah. So, can you hear it? Or
I hear something like a chicken noise in the background, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, she's practically crowing. She can't help herself.
That's kind of cool, though. I love it. I mean, they're proud. It's biological.
Right. Yeah, but in terms of, a lot of people think that all communication is intentional. It's not, and all communication is not necessarily for the benefit of the person doing the unintentional communication. So we have tells. Sometimes we're scared, and you can tell that I'm scared, and I don't want you to know that I'm scared, but you look at me or see at my body language and you can tell I'm scared. And I even touched on this issue, which to me as a primatologist is really important, in Theodosia and the pirates, with regard to what happens when Theodosia gets excited, and it's not for her own benefit that she does that. That's a tell. It's for the benefit of the guy that she's with. Now, a lot of people are dishonest, and so then they will fake some of these tells. So if the chickens were dishonest and wanted to fool me, they would just start making that sound even when they hadn't laid an egg,
True. That's so true. That is.
But they're not, they're honest chickens because they have no control over that,
That's true.
Yeah, so I guess I got way off topic here, but the point of the matter is that I have found that no technology, everybody says, oh, I'll get you this kind of computer, or I'll get you this, and then Bo can do this, this, and that. And he never uses any of the computers the way they imagine,
I don't think he would necessarily, because we can't predict how he would like it. We don't know. Like, well, you might, but I don't think they would know.
No, but I'm trying to express something different from that.
Okay, okay.
Uh, he, I mean, let's talk about an electric potty because that's easier to explain.
Oh,
Or,
interesting. Is there such a thing?
yeah, we have
Okay.
people said, I understand you have to clean the potty and you have to take the potty out every time he uses it. Wouldn't it be great to have one of those electrical self-flushing toilets? That way you don't have to take care of that. Everything will be fine. When we have
I think
we
they think it will be fine. They don't understand.
okay, but let me explain why it's not fine. It's not like we didn't put the money in. I was flush with funds when I built this place. And
Mhm.
there is an electrical potty. There is a self-flushing potty down the end of one corridor in the pens. And we used to have to escort him to that potty because we knew we couldn't leave him alone with it. Otherwise, he would flood the entire place. And then, the electrical wires would get soggy and then we could all get
Ew.
electrocuted. So we knew that we had
Oh
to
no.
escort him. So when we had to escort him, he had to tell us when he had to go. And he would lie to us because he just want to take a trip down to the flush potty. Uh, so we went through all this stuff. And finally, it turned out if you just leave him alone with a children's potty made of plastic, which is easy to empty, that's the best thing. That works. The other stuff doesn't work. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying. Like, no, I guess there's appliances and people will play with them and overuse them just because it's there and it's like, woo, it makes noise. Like hand sanitizing machines. I think you could just wash your hands, but people will play with it. And then hand sanitizer starts leaking everywhere on the ground. And there's like a mess of it. And they're like, oh, the machine like 20 times.
Yeah. So, I mean, the same thing with all of the devices. We had a lot of different devices for Bo to use to communicate. He would play with them. He would touch things, not in order to communicate, but just to make them do the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So that was not a good way to communicate. It turned out, that having laminated sheets was better.
That makes sense. I mean, because if he's just playing with the devices, then he's not really using them. And the sheets actually have the information that he needs to like read or learn, right?
Right. And if he destroyed one, it was easy to produce another one. So it was important that they were not expensive.
Makes
And that
sense.
was part of it. So, we can't give him a really expensive computer that does everything and is wonderful and all that. We can't leave him alone with it.
Okay,
Because
I totally understand.
we can't afford it. So the same thing, I could go in there with a tripod and he would knock it over. What good would that do?
It wouldn't do you any good. No.
So how come it's so hard to explain that to my viewers? Why are they not getting any of this? And also, not
I
just viewers, but scientists. All sorts of scientists say, oh, look, Aya, you're using these old fashioned keys. You could get a keypad and you could just get in like that. And do you know how hard it is to get anybody to repair anything around here and how expensive it
it's
is?
it's expensive. Look, we don't even have keypads. Like I live in a somewhat affluent part of college, but we're kind of old school still. Like we still have keys. I think right now they're just right now making the pool keypad accessible, and that's a big thing. They had to close the pool down for 3 weeks, and I can tell you it's gonna break. I can just see something happening with it.
Yeah. Well, I actually had one tripod that I broke myself very recently. I got it for Christmas. I used it for almost a year and then I was trying to fiddle with it and it broke in my hand. It's made of plastic.
Oh
Um,
no. Like,
so
I mean, I don't know what the best tripods are. I can't say. I got one on Amazon. It seems okay, but I don't know. I feel like it could break too, Aya, because okay, I
Well,
twirl it around.
yeah, listen, I had all these video cameras again for Project Bow, and I had all these tripods for Project Bow. And that's when I
Yeah,
had volunteers who were operating those for me so I could go in and they would film me.
they would film
Uh,
you. Yeah, that's like more having a team. Like you kind of need a team, I think, to do
yeah,
that.
but I don't have a team right now, so I have to make do. So anyway, I went to Walmart and I got this thing that you can add to an old-fashioned tripod, and it's holding my iPhone, and it costs what, $5, something like that. So
Oh, that's smart. Okay, because I thought about that too. I have this tripod that came with one, and I have another tripod that my dad actually found at the Goodwill, and it's a better tripod. It was a really nice tripod, but it doesn't have like something like that. So maybe if I ever want to upgrade that tripod, I'll buy something like that. That's a great idea.
yeah, so I'm just sharing this information with you, but there's something about Project Bow that is really hard to explain to other people. So this woman from Israel called me and she said, I understand that you need something for communication for Bow. I design these things and whatever.
Oh.
Uh, so what do you need? And then I tried to explain to her what the issue is. And in the end, she didn't do anything because she didn't know what to do, because she didn't understand what she could possibly design that would work. Do you understand?
I understand because basically she thought that whatever device she designed would work seamlessly with Bo, but then she realized, oh, not really. It doesn't. It's not going to. So,
Right. And I
but she
couldn't figure
thought she
out.
had the answer. She thought she had the answer. Like maybe everybody thinks they have the answer, but they don't because you understand the situation. Plus, you had a team that was filming you, so it's much easier to film like with a team than if you're doing it all by yourself. Like
Right.
I think, anyway.
Yes. But my current hope is that we're going to go back to very old fashioned things. And if I can get Bo to write what he wants, and he's not using my hand, he's using his own hand, then maybe I can prove what he's been doing all along.
Okay, I'm hoping that you can. I think it would be. Would you like to get more people working there again, like you did a few years back? Are you going to get more interns or?
No, I don't want those at all.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I guess I misunderstood.
Yeah, you have to trust them and you have to trust Bo with them. And secondly, PETA sends out spies now, so I know
Okay,
that.
that's probably not it. Never mind. Yeah, I understand.
So nobody comes in that I haven't known for years.
Yeah, for sure. I totally understand that. Does Jessica still come by sometimes with the?
Yes, yes, she does.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's really, what I do like is when I see Bo interacting with Jessica occasionally on an occasional. I mean, maybe your grooming fans don't like that, but I kind of like those videos where you were
I
showing like,
think so. I think they like it. You
oh,
know,
they do like that. I wasn't sure exactly what they're looking for. I thought maybe they just want grooming, but I kind of like the literary interaction that you guys have, and then having Jessica come in. Like, I think that's more interesting to me.
well, I mean, again, I'm not able to film what he says to Jessica. So when I do film, it is actually when he's grooming her. So yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So let's
Or
talk.
just
Yeah. Go
I was just
ahead.
gonna say, or even like if when she's showing him a book, like I thought you had some things you had showed before, just when she's showing him like written things and stuff. I thought that was cool, stuff like that. I don't know. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be grooming interaction, but that's just my opinion. I know people like grooming, so
The point of the matter is he does spell with Jessica, but I'm not there when that happens. Nobody films it. It's a lot of stuff happens that does not get filmed. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about Squid Game. It's a very popular show, and I painted this woman from Squid Game. And it's basically a game where people kill each other and the winner takes all the money. Why do people like that?
I don't know. I keep hearing people talk about Squid Game, and I'm gonna tell you that's something I will never watch. because that creeps me out. I'm not going to watch it. I can't do it. It sounds like they want to see a real live action movie and a video game, and they have this, people like senseless violence, because to me that's senseless. Like, what's the point of that? I don't get it.
Yeah, I it's not my thing.
But
And
it's popular. That's the thing I don't really understand. Like, this is like popular. People talk about food from Squid Game. I'm like, who would care what kind of food they eat on Squid Game? Like, why? Why would I care about that? The show sounds I don't know.
it's pretty bad. But I think that really the thing that interests them is how they cheat each other, because at various points in the game, two people are teaming up and they're like supportive of each other and say, hey, we're going to beat all the others and we'll take the money. But only one person can take the money. So it doesn't work that way.
Don't they get it though? Okay, so if you're in this game where only one person can take the money, why would two people think, oh, we're going to team up? Like, that just seems like naivety to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. You have to team up for a while, but you have to know that you're going to be betrayed eventually.
So it's just like playing this game of like, who will betray me? I don't like that. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I don't like it either. But
I'm not leaving. I'm just going to go grab my coffee, but keep telling me about it.
There's something about it, though, that makes you think about how military, you join the military and some people are going to die, but you don't know who.
Oh, like maybe Squid Game's kind of like military operate in a way. I'm not saying for sure, but it kind of has a parallel a little bit.
Yeah, there's this kind of weird thing where you sacrifice your life for something that I don't even understand. But yeah.
I mean, they always tell like, okay, that's another thing too. I always think interesting. Like, you have students that don't have like a lot of academic skills, and we don't teach trades at school. Like, they used to at least have like a fire science class and some like print shop and some mechanical courses, like so kids could get like some sort of certification to actually get a job in one of those careers when they graduated. But they took the funding away for all those programs, and then they started pushing academics for kids that are barely passing high school. But then the solution is they say, okay, this demographic is going to go into the military. That's what they should do. So the recruiters start like harassing them. Like, okay, I actually have a recruiter calling me, and I had never expressed any interest in being recruited for the military, and I was kind of harassing. Like, I was trying to get off the phone. I remember I told them, I never give you my information. I'm not interested. That doesn't sound good to me. And I'm like, how did you get my information? They're like, we got it from school counselor. And I was graduated like 3 months already. And I had good grades. So I feel like a lot of people get sucked into the military because it's kind of like they promise them things, they get there, and maybe it's kind of like Squid Games to some degree, in a way, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because there's a recruiter at the very beginning who basically goes out and finds people who are desperate. All these people are in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And he offers them a game to play a game. And he says, look at all this money. You could win this money if you beat me at this game. And if you fail at the game, I'm going to hit you in the face.
Oh.
And I guess that's a way to tell if somebody is right for Squid Game, because basically they take a lot of punishment for a tiny amount of money.
That sounds really horrible. God.
Yeah, I know.
And this show is popular. Why? I just don't get it. But I never heard it. Okay, when people were like talking about Squid Games and some of them said it's so violent, like nobody seems horrified by what they're watching. They're just like, oh, we're watching this. Like, and I'm like, but you don't, I get it. I mean, I understand people do watch things like this, but how can you think this is a good show? Or I don't know, is what I'm trying to say. Like, some people are saying it's a truly good show, and they're doing reviews of the food on Squid Games, or I mean, I just don't get it. And I didn't even know what Squid Games was, so I didn't watch that video because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what Squid Games is, so I just didn't watch the video.
Right. Well, I've had people that I recommended that they watch Mr. Sunshine.
Yes,
And
yes.
and they told me recently, and I'm not going to say who it was, but they told me recently they tried to watch Mr. Sunshine and they couldn't because it was so boring. They couldn't get into it, but they could get into Squid Game right away.
Okay, whatever. Mr. Sunshine is a very interesting story premise. I will tell you what kind of, I mean, I might finish it someday. What kind of just stopped me is I do think it's a very beautiful love story, but I did get kind of stopped somewhere in the middle because I don't think it's boring per se, but I just didn't feel as invested in the characters like halfway through the story. So I just didn't feel compelled to finish it because I'm
Yeah,
not, maybe
I'm
I like,
not about you. I was
yeah.
just explaining my experience.
No, your experience, but I was just trying to I was just trying to think about why they thought this was better than that. That's all I was trying to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I did get invested in the characters, but for me, it was because they were so patriotic, and
Yes.
they had their ideals about how they thought things should be, and they were willing, to die for their country, not for, some amount of money.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so it was easier for me to identify with that.
I totally understand. That does make sense for sure. I mean, the patriotism angle, maybe I'm not saying that I love hardcore love stories, but I think, okay, honestly, that is one thing that I kind of think I wanted to see. And I looked up something, I looked up what happened at the end. So I kind of found out and then I was just sad because I found out, well, he doesn't live and the love story doesn't progress. And it's not like I need a love story every time, but I think I was just disappointed by that. And it kind of deterred me from wanting to finish it. But I'm going to be honest with you. I really love Magnificent Century at first, and I don't think I'm going to finish the first installment. So I was really hopeful for the second one. I thought, oh, I'm going to finish this one. But I don't think I'm watching past episode 7 because it took a really weird turn too. So sometimes I just don't finish a show.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. This was totally not about you.
No. I'm just giving like an example. Like I was just trying to figure out why they like this, which sounds really violent, more than Mr. Sunshine, which I don't think was boring. Like, but I guess what I think is interesting is different than what I'm just trying to figure out like why people like something. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to question myself as well. Because maybe I should try to explain why I like Mr. Sunshine. Maybe if I thought about it enough, I would realize that there are aspects of Mr. Sunshine that are not that different from Squid Game.
Squid Game sounds like needless violence. It sounds like Fight Club, but in a more Korean setting. I mean, I don't watch Fight Club either, but Fight Club's kind of the same idea. Like people will be like, "Did you see Fight Club?" And basically they get in a fight, and I can't tell you exactly what Fight Club's about, but I think it has something to do with money or something. And they just fight each other like senselessly. And I'm sorry, I can't get into shows like that.
Well, for me, Squid Game is also about childhood games, and I don't like childhood games, the kind where you have to team up, and then if there's an unpopular child.
Oh God, no, I hate that. Like bullying, you mean? Basically?
Yes. Well, I mean, in this case, not even bullying, but just exclusion. Exclusion is not necessarily bullying.
Yeah, it's not always bullying, but it's just like exclude. Yeah, maybe not bullying, but I don't like that. It's basically maybe social normative people who kind of just want to see things blow up or they want to see a violent scene. They're gonna be intrigued by Squid Games, whereas I'm not saying I'm completely neurotypical, but maybe my interests are a little bit. So I don't think it's something that appeals to me. It sounds like people who kind of, I don't know, somebody who would want to watch the reality shows where they all kind of are at each other's throats or something. I don't know, but it's not reality, but they think it is. It's weird. I think some people, they don't even know they're watching shows. Like they get mad if a celebrity says something on Twitter. They go, "Oh my God, you don't think like your character?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're an actor." I feel like some people have that disconnect between watching a show and reality.
Yeah, well, there might be some people like that, but I don't think that in every case that's how it is. And I'm really, it's important to try to understand people who are different from us. So I'm just trying to understand.
No, it's good to understand. I mean, I do to some degree do that, but if it comes to something violent, like, okay, I'll tell you, I'll watch something about the Ottoman Empire or World War II. If there's a historical scene that shows the context that, yes, there was this battle and it was violent, because that's history, right?
Yeah.
But if it's just like fantasy violence with no goal and somebody just wants to senselessly kill or hurt somebody because they're winning money, but there's no cause or no reasoning, like, then I'm out. I'm sorry. I can't even begin to understand them, and I don't want to. Maybe that's my problem, but I don't really care. If that's why people like Squid Game, and then I question like their taste in shows, but that's just my take on it. They can like what they like, but I don't think that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm talking about it more from analyzing what they like rather than saying whether, I approve of it or not.
No, I understand. It's okay to analyze what people like, but this is kind of I think my niece actually got mad at me like the other day when I told her something. I said something, she's, well, why? She thinks like I'm maybe critical or I'm picky about things, where she thinks that she goes with the flow a little bit more, trying to like just accept things, which might not always be a good thing, by the way, because it might not help you out in some ways. But just my opinion, we can try and figure out like why people like that. It's probably good for understanding YouTube or analytics. But then I guess my problem is I don't really like, I get to the point like I'm just like, okay, if that's what the majority of people like, I just don't, and I don't even try anymore. So that's probably my problem.
Well, it's not a question of trying to like it. It's a question of trying to understand people.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's what I'm saying. That might be it. I get to a point, I'm like, well, I don't even try to understand if that's okay. I get that that's something that people enjoy. I just am like, well, then I'm not going to understand that concept that they like, because I kind of just leave it to what. Okay, it kind of goes into other genres of violent movies without like fantasy violence that don't have a goal or just seem senseless to me. I just don't understand them. I feel like it's senseless and it just turns me off. So I just decide I'm not going to even try and figure out why you like that. Like, even if it's a majority of people, I'm just going to say, well, they like that. I don't. I'm going to do my own thing. That's my take on it.
It's not a question of whether, it's not like I'm trying to join them. So
No, I don't think you're trying to. I think you're trying to analyze their behavior and what they like.
yeah.
But I don't. Like, I'm just saying, I think it's noble that you're doing that. I lose interest at that point. And I don't think I will go down that road because I'll never truly understand it, or I will just be turned off by it. And I feel like I reserve the right to be turned off by things that may be socially normative at a certain time period. Like, I feel like some people are afraid to say that. I'm not.
I want to change our culture. So in order to do that, I have to understand it. That's why. It's not a question of joining, it's a question of you can't change something unless you understand it.
I totally get that. I think you have a bigger objective for it because you have these novels you wrote that have ideas. So that would be ideal if you could try to understand like certain cultural constructs and want to like break through and try and help people understand that maybe there's a loftier goal or ideal, and that dying for something needless like Squid Games is pretty like meager and sad. Like if you could break through to people and explain to them why Mr. Sunshine's a better story, I think that's a wonderful goal. Like I can see why you would. For sure. I do see your rationale behind it.
Well, I mean, at the risk of possibly getting this particular live stream banned, it's really a lot like what people are now saying about the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, you'll see somebody post, I took this vaccine for you. Okay, and that's just weird.
That's weird. So I saw somebody make a vaccination pumpkin, and I was gonna say, okay, I think that's weird because whenever in the history of the world did people make a vaccination jack-o'-lantern before? Like, did people ever do that before?
Well, no, but I mean, I suppose if it were a good thing, there are lots of things we've never done before. Some of them are nice, some of them are not nice. But what I was just addressing here was the fact that, it's okay to take a vaccine because you think it's a good thing and it's going to be good.
Fine.
But why would you take it for somebody else? That's just insane.
It doesn't really make any sense, and it's not exactly true because they think that they take it for somebody else, but basically what they're saying is if you don't, this was that news article that I found just recently where a lot of people are like, okay, so you're saying, and these are teachers, these are educated people, and they're saying, so you're telling me that you took the vaccine for me, but now you're saying that my children have to get it like from 12 to 15, and there's no guarantee, like it's an emergency, and parents are concerned about it. Okay, they have questions, and they're saying they're not even anti-vaccine, they're not even conspiracy theorists, but there are some parents that kept their children home that day as a protest because they're like, I don't think it should be mandatory in this case. It's like they're not even given a choice, and that to me is kind of counter to the American idea of freedom and liberty,
Right.
But maybe, I mean, people used to look down upon homeschooling. Maybe it will give homeschoolers like a new second wind because now like people are going to be more interested and they're going to see why, and maybe they can understand why some people wanted to homeschool their kids. So maybe the benefit that comes out of it is more people will decide, well, if like a school is so rigid with us, maybe we should homeschool our kids. So maybe there's a benefit to that. Maybe it will help families come closer together. Maybe there are some benefits to it. If they're going to try to impose this on us, maybe it will make people start questioning things like, why do we have to do that? And look, I even got vaccinated, but I never said everybody else should have to do it. Like I never thought that, but there's apparently a lot of people are going to push back on it too, is what I'm saying. So maybe there's hope,
Yeah, but I'm talking about that. What I'm trying to get at is there's an abstract idea behind all that.
Okay.
An idea that somebody took something for somebody else.
You can't take something for somebody else. You do things for yourself. It's a fallacy to believe that you actually did something for someone else. It sounds self-righteous. That's pretty much it. But maybe I'm not understanding the abstract concept. I just think it sounds self-righteous. I would never say something like that. It sounds very self-righteous.
Well, it does, but have you ever been at the school events where they will maybe sing Battle Hymn of the Republic?
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
And there's this line, as he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free. What do you think about that line?
No, we don't, because freedom is going out the door, like giving people their right to be free is counteracting to your right to feel like you are more righteous. But to me too, the people that say, well, I did this for you, it kind of makes me think like, okay, this is just my take on it, but you go ahead. I'm probably just like I'll let you.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you.
Okay, what I think is like I just feel like it's because people aren't as into organized religion as much these days. So they're looking for something else to find meaning, whether it be like a political movement, or there's people that aren't even political, but now all of a sudden vaccinations, like that's all they talk about. And it's starting to sound like really religious, like people that persecuted others back in the 1500s. Like it's just beginning to sound really strange. Like if that's all somebody can talk about is I care more about somebody else because I got vaccinated. I don't think that's true. I just think you want to kind of lord over people that you are better than them because you did this, and oh, you care more about people because you did that. But I'll tell you something, I've seen people who say that in the next breath they'll say something very cruel about someone, or very gossipy, or just very hateful. So I don't think they actually care about other people more than others. I think they just want to feel better than other people. That's all. They want to belong to a club.
Yeah, they want to seem like they're better, but you know, there are lots of situations where it's like that.
Yeah, that's just one example. And honestly, like at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Like these people, but I still think it's really strange to make a vaccination pumpkin. I don't think we're getting better. Like I feel like when I was a kid, things were more fun because Halloween was just Halloween and you made fun pumpkins and it was just like fun time. It wasn't like a time to make some political pumpkin statement, like for something. Is that the hill somebody wants to like be on, like a vaccination? It just seems weird. Like a little kid, like a 5-year-old kid that's coming to trick or treat at your house. What are they going to think about a vaccination pumpkin? Like, I mean, I don't know. I just think about it that way. I'm just like, I don't think we're becoming a better society. But I know, like, you want to try and figure out how people think today and maybe break through that.
Well, I mean, where I am, nobody even comes by to trick or treat anymore. So, did anybody trick or treat at your place?
Well, they could have, but I forgot to get candy. So I put out the sign that says I didn't have candy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, but there's plenty of other places they can go to get candy because I thought, oh, I want to get nice candy because I heard them going by, but I'm like, oh no, I don't have candy. And I don't want to be that lady that gives out Kool-Aid packets or something weird because I just didn't feel like going to the store yesterday. So I just put out yeah, I should have went and got candy, but I didn't do it. So
I did get candy, and I always have candy at my house, even though I don't, I'm not a candy person myself. I'm trying to stay away from carbs, but I always have it in case my daughter drops by. She likes candy. And
that's the problem. I'd probably eat it if it was in the house. That was another reason I didn't want to buy it.
I understand completely. So, yeah, I understand.
But you were prepared. That's good.
But nobody came. Nobody came trick or treating.
Yeah, I don't think my parents got trick or treaters either. I think we just, because I live in an apartment complex, so they promote, like they do this community posting. You can either put up a sign saying you have money, candy for trick or treating, or you don't. So we probably got trick or treaters. I think most of them go to like downtown Redlands because there's this one street like with Victorian houses where people go all out and they decorate, and there's all these businesses, and the kids could get all the candy that they dream of. So I think most people go up there to trick or treat. I don't think people are going around neighborhoods as much anymore. I think they go to more central locations where they know like people are really into Halloween, and they actually they voluntarily put their house on the map because they want people to know we have the best decorations in town and all the candy. And that seems to be where people go to trick or treat these days in my area.
Yeah. Well, even here, it's a question of safety. People are afraid to go someplace that they don't know. So now they go to public places that are, that they believe are safe. And
like the store maybe, or like a business that would be giving out candy maybe.
Or an entire neighborhood that has been vetted, or, where there's like an organization that takes care of it.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay. I think it's not quite like that here. It's just people that are really into Halloween, and everybody knows, like, it's kind of, even though we're growing, they up there in Redlands, I live down in Loma Linda, they still have the smaller town vibe. So I think they like take pride in like, oh, we decorate for Halloween, we give out candy. So I think that's why people go to those houses, because it's still kind of a small town feeling, even though we're growing.
Well, I mean, we are definitely small, and I'm out of town. I'm actually not a town.
Well, see, that makes it even harder though for you to get trick-or-treaters, because if everybody's like more like in a rural area where everybody is like, it's less population density, you would have to drive to that location or walk farther. Whereas if you take your kids to one central location, they can get a lot of candy really quickly, and it's just easier for a parent, right?
Right. Yes, all of that is true. But it's kind of sad because when I was a child, and I didn't live in the United States always, but I did live here as a child, and I was able to, I was actually able to go trick or treating by myself without parents, without anybody driving me there.
Yeah, it is sad. I mean, yeah, that is kind of sad. I think nowadays the parents think they have to drive the kids. I went by myself once I was allowed to go trick or treating. I wasn't allowed to trick or treat actually until I was 9. That's an interesting story for another day. But like, what are your other thoughts about like the show and the abstract thoughts you had behind it?
Oh, that Squid Game, you mean?
Yeah, because I think you were kind of going on, and I feel like I want to kind of let you express what you were trying to say about that.
Well, I was moving away from the show and talking about how this idea of um, that people do stuff for other people, and even if it's not good, even if it ends in your death, that you actually made a contribution to humanity by doing something. So with regard to vaccination, I think they're kind of now telling you, yes, we know maybe 1 in a million will die from the vaccine, and that's a risk you should take for the rest of humanity. And I just think that's weird.
It's kind of weird, but I also think too, like, okay, there are going to people that say that, but they're going to also get the other half of the population that's going to be like, well, I don't really agree with that. Or there will be people that say, you know what? And this is the truth, because we talked to a lot of people. My sister doesn't want to get vaccinated. She talked to a lot of people that got the vaccine, and they told her it's not that they thought that they were better or that they were saving humanity to get the vaccine. They just felt like they kind of had to because of like the media and because of their employer. Like it wasn't like they thought that, they just kind of felt coerced. And then there will be other people that are like, you know what? Okay, there's kind of this dialogue here where they're saying if you don't get the vaccine, you're a bad person. You're
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The other side of saying I'm a good person because I did it is you're a bad person if you didn't,
I have a big problem with that. So just like there's gray in this painting, there's black and white and gray, and your version of being good and bad can be different than somebody else's version of being good and bad. And some people who say, oh, I'm a good person, I did this, kind of what I was talking about earlier, they do a lot of things that aren't good. Like they are hurtful, they exclude people. I think like like maybe some people don't want to participate in an activity, but intentionally excluding people, like ostracizing people to make yourself feel like your group is better or has more merit, that's not right. And the vaccine kind of does that. So I don't like, not that I'm obsessed with this, but there's a lot of behavior that's petty, that's connected to this, that does not make these people better. They might think it does in their mind, but I don't agree with that.
I know, but I'm talking about, it's not a question of agreeing or disagreeing, but trying to understand what's going on in their minds.
In their minds, yes. This is probably another thing too. We've never lived through a major vaccination. Well, maybe you did in Israel, but my mom, like even when she was a kid, she's just like, well, everybody got their vaccine, like we all lined up to do it. But like we were telling her, it was a little bit different because by then those vaccines have been vetted. They are a different type of vaccine. These are very new vaccines, and there's still breakthrough infections with people that got the vaccine. So maybe some people question it, and even people who got the vaccine did have side effects. But there was a girl that went on Facebook and she told my friend, Oh, I saved people in the community because I got vaccinated. And then my friend was like, you know what? This is just a post for me to decide whether I want to get vaccinated or not. Because my employer is saying I have to, but I'm trying to collect some opinions if people got bad side effects from it or what their side effects were. But basically, this other woman told her, no, you can't even discuss that. Like, how dare you? She didn't want them discussing it for some reason.
Right.
And they were probably more on the same page than she thought. But like, I would think, okay, if somebody's on the fence about doing that and you want them to do that and you're telling them, no, we can't talk about it, you know, your result might be different than what you expect. Maybe they won't do it because you'll be like, oh, is that like how people are about this? It sounds like a, like, kind of like a petty dictatorship.
Yeah.
So they kind of are wrecking their own goal, I think. And they're not as, that's another thing too. I think people in my state, what I'm seeing is they always said California is such a liberal state. It's really liberal, but it was more of a divided state than they always thought. And I always knew that because I knew like the community I grew up was in conservative, and I knew that there were people that are conservative in San Bernardino County, but they didn't like say that they felt like they were comfortable talking about it and sharing their views because like they thought, oh no, I can't say anything. But you know what kind of changed that was actually the lockdown. And people started realizing, you know what, maybe we do need to start talking about these things and having these conversations. And I think some of the mainstream people are getting frustrated because they're realizing not everybody just goes along with whatever like the mainstream view is, and they have their own opinions, and they seem to be getting mad, and that's why they're saying these things, because they're trying, but they don't even know why. They're just like parroting something that they saw on the news, really, in my opinion. Like
Okay, so there's this thing about in Squid Game. I want to pass it by you and just have you tell me what you think about it.
okay.
So they signed a contract, you know, that
Mhm.
you know they would play the game, and whoever loses any one of these childhood games is eliminated. Of course, they didn't understand eliminated means they get killed. But
Yikes, guys, look up the definition of the word eliminated. It can mean,
well, you know, it does have different.
it has variations. I mean, you could be eliminated from the game, but if it's I don't
Yeah, they
know.
didn't quite understand right at first that it meant that they were killed. But after the first game, which was green light, red light, green light,
Oh,
and then they knew. So there was a clause in the contract that said that if a majority of the people decided they wanted to quit the game, then everybody could quit the game. But they had to do it as a majority. They couldn't just quit individually. What do you think about that?
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but why do you think it was in the show? I mean, what do you think is the reason for
The
it?
whole reason behind it?
Yeah,
Thoughts? Maybe because this is the show about like social dynamics, social responsibility. Maybe it's harkening a little bit to social credits where everybody has to do what the group, like work as a group. Like it's kind of like discouraging individuality, perhaps. Like,
yes. And it was really weird. The front man, so there's everybody wears a mask. Uh, you know, not the players, but the people who are running the game are all wearing a mask. The front man has a mask that's really different from the other ones. The other ones have masks that have either circles on them or triangles or squares.
oh, okay, that's interesting.
But the front man has a mask that kind of looks like the mask I had on yesterday for Halloween.
I liked that how you were talking with it, like hi vote. Like I love the voice. That was fun. Does he talk
Yeah.
like that in Squid Games? Just he's like,
Yeah. Now, Bo is not at all taken in by this kind of thing. That's part
no,
of
no,
his, he's got street smarts and he knows what's what.
no. He knows what's what. But didn't you say? Okay, I could be wrong, but didn't you say the way that they determined if people were okay to join Squid Game was if they could withstand being slapped in the? You said something about that, right? About being slapped in the face.
Yeah, that it was that they were so desperate that they were willing to stand there, be slapped in the face as many times as it took until, you know, it was one of those things where you throw something on the ground, it's either an X or an O or whatever, and you have to decide which it's going to be. And if it's yours, you get the money if you guess right, and you get slapped in the face if you guess wrong. They were willing to be slapped in the face as many times as it took before, they guessed right.
This is so creepy. Like, I don't know, is it a commentary about society, about how we've just lost all sense of purpose and pride, that, oh, I would pretty much do anything to guess right to get that money, but I don't have any purpose or pride. That's weird. What's the point of that? To see if you could be part of the group, to just do whatever the group says?
Well, I mean, these are very weak people who are already deeply in debt. There are loan sharks and people trying to kill them. And so in the real world, their life is not so wonderful either.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess so. But this is the show that appeals to people. This is the show that
Yes.
people think is good. Why? You know what? You're asking some very good questions, Aya, because why would somebody be enticed by this or think this is good or interesting?
I'm guessing that it really does touch on some things that are happening to a lot of people lately. So for instance, a lot of people work at jobs that they don't actually like.
Yes, this is true. iPhone got disconnected.
Oh,
I just noticed, I looked up and I don't see him anymore. I saw him a few minutes ago.
thank you for telling me. I guess I have to charge it now. Means I
No,
have.
you're fine. I just noticed. That was all. I think it was there a few minutes ago.
Okay. Well, I'm not fine until it gets going again.
That's fine. You know, mine does that too. Like, I realize unless I leave it on the pad, like, iPhones will lose a charge very quickly because if you're filming with them and whatnot. But I have to say, I think I really like iPhone's camera, and I was almost getting taken in by trading this in for the iPhone 13. And I'm like, Julia, what are you gonna do? Why do you want to do that? And I got all excited. And I'm like, no, I just got the iPhone 11. Why do I want the iPhone 13? But it came with like this advertiser saying it has 3 cameras, and I thought, oh my gosh, would that be really good for my channel? I'm like, I gotta slow down and not want that, you know.
Yeah. Okay. There we are. I don't know why, but it's kind of beeping.
Oh, do you have like a notification?
I don't know. Maybe it's notification.
I do like the way the lady's turning out, though. I find her face very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, so where were we? I was, I got all distracted trying to get it charged. So.
Well, you were telling me about Squid Game and the whole, like, how people are so desperate because the loan sharks and their life's not really that great. So this is
I think in Korea, there really are a lot of people who are in serious debt right now.
I can imagine. I mean, well, it happens here too, but I can see it happening in Korea more.
Yeah, because their cost of living is really high. That all the jobs are in big cities, and living in a big city costs too much.
That's true.
So this is part of why people are so desperate, and they do end up in debt because, if they stay out in the country, they won't have a job. But if they live in the city, they won't actually be able to afford their job,
It's like a catch-22, but it's kind of becoming that way too. I feel like even here to some degree, like it's getting to the point like, oh, I'm going to get this job. It will fix all my problems, but not really, because, okay, you have to commute more to the job. Sometimes when you're at the job, you want to buy more clothing, or you're around people and seeing things that they have. Like, I'm not talking about personally us, but just people in general, like they might want to buy new things. So I feel like sometimes a job can actually cost you more money than if you stay in the country. Like, that's kind of but then in Korea, it sounds like you kind of, it's either you don't have a lot of options or something.
Yeah. I guess that's true. So maybe a lot of people in Korea anyway identify with being in debt being a good person who didn't like overspend or do anything really bad to get in trouble, but being in debt anyway.
So are they like slaves to the Squid Game? Are they kind of like selling their souls to be in the Squid Game with the hope that they win money?
Yes, but the funny thing is, the guy who actually survives this game, apparently there's going to be a series of series,
Oh boy.
Yeah. So he survives the game. Now, you have to understand, when we first met him, I had like zero respect for him because he was stealing money from his mother. His mother was poor and was working, a hard labor job. And so they show him getting her bank card, and he doesn't know the code to
Oh
it.
no.
And he
Bad
has
boy.
to guess what it is, and so he guesses his mother's birthday, but he doesn't actually remember what his mother's birthday is.
What a bad, he's not even a good son.
Yeah, but he also has a little girl, and so eventually he realizes it's his daughter's birthday that is the password to his mother's. And then he says to his friend who is trying to help him with that, he says, "See, she likes my daughter more than she likes me." That's what he said.
Yeah, and I can see why, because you're like stealing her card. Like, obviously, there's probably a reason.
Yeah. So actually, his ex-wife, remarried, and and it's his daughter's birthday, and he takes all that money from his mother's account, and he goes bets on horse races, and he actually wins.
Yeah.
But these loan sharks are chasing him.
Oh my God. Does this happen? Like, are there loan sharks just like floating around in South Korea and they're like, is it that prevalent?
I think there are loan sharks everywhere, and I'll tell you why there are loan sharks everywhere. Because the moment you tell people they can't have, a loan, they'll get a loan and they'll get it under weird terms,
Oh, that's true. I mean, yeah, they're in the US too, but it just seems like maybe it's a little bit more organized. Well, I was thinking about that story that you wrote about the people that had their store taken over by like some sort of loan shark mafia type thing.
Yeah, that was in Taiwan, and
yeah, but I was thinking, is it in maybe in Asian countries it's a little bit more organized, so they don't look like street thugs, but they kind of will float through society without you detecting exactly who they are. It's just kind of my thought, but I could be wrong.
Well, I don't know. Obviously, I didn't have any personal contact with any loan sharks in Taiwan.
No, I know you didn't, but I was just thinking, like, if I was just wondering, like, about people in general, but maybe that's the wrong question to think about. Never mind.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, he doesn't seem like a very nice person, and I don't like him very much. So as going into the series, I'm thinking, I hope he's one of the first ones who get killed. But no, he's our hero.
Interesting. He's our hero. Oh man, what kind of a
He
show
makes
is
it
this?
all the way to the end of the game.
Oh,
And he comes home, and guess what? His mom is dead.
Oh
So
no.
he went all that money, and he was supposed to, she had diabetes, and he wanted to take, he said he was gonna, take care of her. And okay, she's dead. And so
Nice.
then he goes for a year not touching the money, because he's depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets the bankers keep calling him and saying, "Hey, don't you want to invest your money in something? Because you have it sitting here in a savings account. It would be so much better if you invested in something." And he's not interested. But then he finds out that somebody from the game is still alive, and calls him in there. It's an old guy who pretended to be his friend. but he was actually the person running the game.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And then he's going off to see his daughter, who is now in the United States, because the new husband of his ex-wife got a job in the U.S. So he's gonna
That
go.
seems
Yeah.
that seems to be a theme a lot in these Korean shows, like, or with somebody moving to the US. That seems to be a big thing lately.
Yes, it is. Well, a lot of Koreans do move to the U.S.
That's true. But I just wonder, do they have that angle because they know it's an international audience and maybe it would make people in America more interested? I'm just curious, or maybe it's just a side story, I guess.
I actually don't think it's that. I actually have met innumerable South Koreans in the United States under different, situations.
Yeah, I've met a few, but I mean, yeah, there is a sizable population.
So I think it's not unrealistic. That part of it, anyway.
Well, not that it's unrealistic, but I just wonder if they're like adding that in just to add more interest to the story. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, he changes his mind and he sees the salesman, the recruiter for the Squid Game. He was about to board a plane for the United States to go see his daughter. He promised he would bring her a present and all this. He changes his mind at the last
What the
minute.
heck? Really?
Squid Game again, Just
oh my gosh. Really? Are you kidding me? That's weird. What the heck?
Yeah.
And he's the hero of the story?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't know. If people like this, I get it is interesting to figure out why, but that really is messed up.
He just doesn't seem like a good person to me at all. But he's kind of two-faced. And I think a lot of people are two-faced that way.
Oh, yeah,
So-
a lot of people are. I would say maybe that's what appeals to people. I hate to say it, but
Because he has a friend who's got an MBA and all that. And his friend ended up owing millions of dollars because he bet on futures and lost. And his friend is much more intellectual, but his friend is also more honest. So when he betrays people, and he obviously does because he gets to the last round, and then gets killed by our hero. So his friend, he's actually a nice person when he can be. But when it's somebody else's life or his own, obviously he chooses his own life. You understand what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, if it survival of the fittest.
He's not a mean person. He's not mean-natured, but he does.
He's not noble. He's just
Yeah. No, he's not noble at all. But he's honest, and so actually, I like that friend better than I like the guy that is our hero. And our hero keeps, saying, "Oh, you did this. You killed this guy. You killed this guy." But every time he did that, our friend benefited from that killing,
That's interesting. So he's mad about something he benefited from, but he wants to act more righteous about it.
Right. And I suppose we're supposed to go along with that as the audience. I don't know. I don't like that either.
I don't really like shows that have a certain agenda and then they tell us how we're supposed to feel about the character. I think that was actually one of the reasons I stopped watching Magnificent Century, because I know a lot of it's fictionalized, but if her right hand man Rustin is so evil and he senselessly kills people just to get ahead, because it's kind of like Squid Game. Like there's a scene actually in that show I was watching, Magnificent Century. She has a new young Pasha that was the horse like assistant, which might seem like a petty job, but it was actually a big job because the Ottomans needed horses to get around. Like being in charge of the horses was a big thing. So he's nominated to being like the master of the horses. And somebody asked him, well, how did you get that job? And then they show a scene, a flashback where his when he was the assistant and his master falls off the horse and he's like sprained his ankle, and he's like, can you help me get up or something? And he breaks his neck because he knows this is my it's horrible. Like he just kills him senselessly. And we're supposed, oh my gosh. And it kind of made me not like the show anymore, because I was like, I think I'm not, I know some of it's fictionalized, but from what I've heard, he was a really bad guy. And I can't watch that anymore, even though it's fiction and history, and it gets weird. So I stopped watching, kind of.
Yeah, I understand.
But just to senselessly get ahead, I guess. Do people like this show because they think it shows their human nature, and that's what they consider human nature, is like the base kind of human nature, like what would people do for survival? I mean, is that what people get out of the show? I don't really get that, but I think some people find that appealing.
Yeah, I think they think, our society is not that extreme, and you don't die if you make a mistake. Usually, most of our mistakes we don't die of, and all of us make mistakes, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't. We're very, like, that's one of the benefits of modern society. But 100 years ago, like, if you made a mistake and your crops failed, you could starve to death. I mean, I think we're not that far removed from it, but as a society, we don't really understand, like, somebody could come and attack you. Like, there were just so many, like, variables that we're not that far away from, but I don't think people realize, like, how close we were to all that.
Yeah. So I think people actually have nostalgia, weird kind of nostalgia, for a time when it was all life and death every time.
Well, that's a possibility.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, I said go ahead. I just don't get it. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive.
I just say, okay, there's a lot of shows that are popular nowadays, and I find it commendable that you're trying to figure out why something like Squid Games is so popular, because you want to try and change culture. I think that's very commendable, and I think maybe you would have success in doing that. Just my reaction to it is, I don't really, honestly, I don't care why that's popular, because there's a lot of things that I think are more interesting and noble and intriguing that I would rather, like, spend my time on. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with watching this show. I just can't watch this show.
No, I'm not even recommending that you watch it.
Yeah. But it's just my reaction from what you're telling me.
Yeah, I would not do that. I wouldn't tell you to watch it.
No. I don't think that you're telling me that, but, like, if somebody tells me that that I should see it, I'd probably be like, why? And then they'd probably have a reaction. I think a lot of people would be like, this is a really good show. And I'd be like, no, it's not. But I get dinged because I have an opinion about things. And apparently you're not supposed to have an opinion about things that are popular and widely accepted. Like, that's the impression I get. Like, you're not supposed to not like something.
Well, I think we all have our own feelings about everything. Nobody can tell us not to have those feelings,
I know they can't, but I kind of feel like I've gotten that reaction before. But I guess that's not really the point. Like, how do you think you'll break through to these people that really like this show? Like, what would you like to change? Like, what would you like to try and break through in understanding their reasoning behind it?
Well, I can't change anything until I understand, and I'm not claiming that I currently understand any of that. Okay. I'm not coming in here saying, oh, I know I have the answer. I do not have the answer. I do not know. You're my friend, so I'm sharing some thoughts with you. But I
like that you are. No, I find it interesting, actually.
Yeah. And there goes another chicken. I guess we're really lucky.
Yeah, I like the chickens. They're fun.
Yeah.
There's another lady that kind of reminds me of you, Aya. Well, she does, like, some homesteading stuff, and she's been doing videos that I actually really like. Like, she goes to the Dollar Tree or Dollar General, and she'll film, and she's showing, like, how the shelves are kind of barren. And she's really
Oh,
funny. Like she's what's the name? Like Homestead Appalachia or something. Like I'll have to look up her channel again, but she has like chickens, I think, and it just kind of like she seems like people really like watching her content. So I feel like people are interested in chickens, maybe just not on a channel that appeals mostly to grooming. I
but you
still
know
think,
what? I just feel if I did make just a chicken channel, and then one day I decided I wanted to talk about something else, I'd be in the same trouble that I am on all my other channels. So
I know it's so annoying, but okay, there are influencers who get around that. Okay, like some of the big ones, like Casey Neistat, he talks about whatever he wants. He does whatever he wants. But the thing is, with him, is all his videos look like a cinematic production. So I guess he can kind of do that. Like people are just curious about like what he's gonna do next. Like he uses a lot of special effects with he has like a drone flying behind him. It's just something that most of us are not going to do, you know. But he'll talk about various different things. He does a vlog and then he'll do a sit down and like he has a variety on his channel. It's just kind of like his life.
hmm
He's
well,
a big
that's good.
YouTuber.
Yeah. I think once they like you, you can do pretty much anything. But my feeling is that the fans on my big channel do not
Yeah.
actually like me, or even a, you know, they don't even have any sympathy for me, you know.
Yeah, I don't think they do, but I'll tell you this, I don't think they do for me either. I mean, they just like hair. And as one of my followers put, she goes, oh, unless your hair is like super long, all of a sudden, like they're not commenting as much, although my views went up, but they are commenting yet less. Like there was this one guy who claimed to be a big fan of my channel, but he hasn't commented on my channel recently just because my hair's not super long anymore or something. I thought that was interesting. So I guess he was just there to like gawk at the length of my hair or something. I don't know. But he used to leave these really nice comments, but I haven't heard, anything from him since like early September. I'm like, well, I maybe he got busy, but maybe he just wasn't interested anymore once my hair wasn't super long. That's fine. I kind of knew that they weren't like it wasn't me, it was just my hair. I knew that already.
Yeah, but it's disappointing.
It is, but what I'm doing is on my second channel, I'm pretty much just doing like I want to do whatever I want. The views aren't super high. It can range from each. And get this, okay, I'm going to tell you the one video now. Maybe I shouldn't give up on OBS because I did use OBS for that video and I think people liked it. But I think it's more the topic. Like people were really intrigued, and this is not a high view video, but for that channel, it's pretty good. It's like 226. They subtract some of my views because YouTube likes to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's reviewing the movie The Lover. It seems like people are very intrigued by that. And I don't even think it's me. I think they're just coming because they're looking to hear somebody talk about that movie. Maybe
Yeah.
they have to review it for a class or something. I don't know. I almost think like, you know what, honestly, some of my posts that I did about books, like they were papers I wrote years ago. And I just thought, well, why not turn them into a blog post? And then those get a lot of views. And I can't help but think, are people just coming because they need to write about it for a class or something? Or maybe they're interested in the movie. But I don't think it's me. I think they're just interested in that particular topic. And that
Right.
drives my channel right now. But then like they'll unsubscribe if I talk about something else. But I'm like, okay, well, on this channel, I'm going to talk about other things. So they're just going to have to live with it. But I don't know what to tell them. Because that other channel, I'm going to do cooking and I'm going to do painting. I'm going to do whatever I want on that other channel. And we'll see what happens with it.
Do you want me to show you my painting?
Yeah, I want to see.
Because I think maybe it's reversed somehow on the other
Oh,
one.
yeah, you're right. I like it. That's cool. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you're near the end of it?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty
Okay,
much done.
that
How
sounds
about
good.
yours? You want to
Well,
show yours?
well, I'll show you, but I'm just like slowly working on it because what I'm doing is I'm just kind of starting to add the features of the face, but I have a lot more to do.
Oh, that's nice. I can see the eyes sort of gleaming out at me.
Yeah, so there was there was this cat on this book, so I was trying to think because I needed a cat that was facing forward, and this cat's not exactly like that, but this book's just kind of giving me some inspiration for it.
Uh-huh.
because I had a picture of the Chevy cat, but to be honest with you, that wasn't a very good picture because my mom will send me like pictures off her cell phone. They're a little pixelated, and I'm like, I can't really tell what the cat was doing in the picture.
Yeah.
This cat book actually, my dad got it for me because he knew I like to draw cats. I find it a good reference because sometimes, yeah, in the cat pictures that I take, sometimes unless it's a really good picture, I can't see everything. Now, finally, I was able to get a good picture of Irina a few years ago, but like in 2015 and back then, I was using this a lot because you could look at the cats and like you could see their eyes, and I just thought this was a good reference book, like for that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a
that's
really
good idea.
Yeah, so I kind of like it for that. And actually, I see a lot of people. I used to do this, like they will check out books from the library for reference, and they're like professional artists. Like there's this lady, she's a muralist, I think, and she checks out like big coffee table books, and it kind of helps her get ideas like for things she's painting, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just kind of use it as a reference. Like I'll have my own photograph, but if I can't really tell what they're doing or something, like this book just helps me. So are you going to sign your painting?
I did.
Oh, you did. Okay, let me see. I see it. Cool. That looks really good. I like it. So are we going to end about here then, would you say?
I think so, unless
Okay.
you have any other, comments, or do we have anybody who commented on our stream?
To be honest with you, I had closed up that window. I can go look and see. I'll have to bring it back up. I had just closed it up because I didn't want it playing in the background.
Yeah, I understand.
I guess I could have looked on my phone, but I put my phone down. Let me just look real briefly. The good news is that picture that I screenshotted, I think it's pretty good. And that's what people saw on Facebook. So I thought that looked pretty good. And so let me go look and see if we have views. I'm going to check. I'm not seeing any comments as of right now, but maybe in the replay we'll get some comments.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for spending time with me, Julia.
I had a wonderful time, and I hope you have a good day, Aya.
You too. You too.
Bye.
Bye.